Warning: the following episode of That Mental Ginger Show contains strong language and adult themes. On today's show, we're talking with comedian Leanne Easthope. In all honesty, I'm not going to say anything about what is coming up in this episode. This is something that you need to watch it, you need to take it in, and more importantly, we need you to do something about it. Because this is a situation that I would only wish it on my worst enemy, because the stuff that poor Leanne is going through, to me, really hits home, and it's a fate worse than death. Let's just cut to the intro. All right, troops. Leanne, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Well, I know beforehand I asked how you were doing. That's the kind of you ask a stupid question, what kind of deal. I was sick to say that. I was like, "How you doing?"
Yeah.
But,
it's hard to describe. I was saying it's like the only way I could describe it to my brother yesterday was like, it's like, when you've got toothache and sometimes you're okay, but that feeling is going to come back, where that agonizing feeling, it's coming at some point. And it's just that it's 1 minute I'm okay, but I'm waiting for that agonizing feeling to come back.
Yeah. It's sadly it is something that I can relate to as well. We'll get into that a little bit. Obviously, it's something that's quite raw. I don't want to just jump straight into it. But what I like to do is I like to hear about my guests' origin stories, because the one thing that we've all got in common in this earth is that we all have an origins. So, Leanne, for my followers, if you're comfortable, please tell us your origin story.
So where I grew up, and so I have grew up on a council. It's a very well-known council estate. If you're from the Midlands area, from Chelmsley Wood, which is quite well known. Near Birmingham.
I know Birmingham myself a little bit, because I'm an Aston Villa fan.
Yeah,
that'll probably remove that'll probably remove a third of the audience, because they'll be like, it's not West Brom, it's not Leicester, right? Get out.
Yeah, it's definitely a room divider. I grew up with. I had quite a difficult upbringing, to be honest with you. I don't ever remember my mum and dad being together. They split up when I was very, very young. My mum and my stepdad was in a very volatile relationship that included domestic violence. He was quite. I mean, he was. I would say, as an adult, that he was very narcissistic. So that was very difficult. It was a difficult childhood. I left home at 17 to live with my friend, and after we fell out, I went to live in a hostel, and then at 21 I had my son. So I was me and my children's dad were in an 8-year relationship, and that was also a volatile relationship. So I suppose that was the sort of connection between my childhood and then my decisions as an adult into what I felt was a normal relationship. So, yeah.
Well, sadly, I've also been in an abusive relationship years ago. Never had the kids with them, which was in a way is a blessing. Obviously, you wouldn't take your kids back for anything in the world, obviously. And it's 3 children you have, isn't it?
3, yes, yeah.
How old are they, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I've got my youngest is Cody, he's 9. Then we have Scarlett, who's 10, and Paul, who's 11. So 9, 10, and 11. All three children are on the autistic spectrum. My youngest goes to mainstream school, so I mean his autism is quite evident with his sensory issues, etc. However, he, in comparison to my 2 eldest, who are non-verbal, they're still not potty trained yet or toilet trained.
Right.
They generally require a high level of needs, 2 to 1 in school and out in public. my daughter also has ADHD, so it's a lot. You know, there's a lot going on there.
Obviously, so you're like a single parent, and obviously we spoke a little bit beforehand. Like, you've been looking after them essentially on your own for what was it? Was it 10 years, 11 years? Was it basically since
No,
we were born?
7
7
years.
years. 7 years. My apologies. I did read it. I didn't want to get the numbers wrong. Then I wound up getting them wrong anyway. It's kind of what happened.
Well, 7 years was when me and their father started to have problems. So at that point, I was quite concerned of how I was going to manage with 3 children with additional needs on my own. So I reached out to the social services for a carers assessment to see what help we could put in place.
Yeah.
Really.
How did you find dealing with the social workers?
From day one, it was very difficult. From day one, it's like, so I invited them into my home for an assessment, for a carers assessment, and from day one, it just felt like I was being scrutinised. From day one, it felt like there was. I guess I felt like I was being treated as if someone had called them on me and was concerned. Like that's how it felt from the very beginning. From the very beginning, it just felt like the magnifying glass was on me, and it wasn't. It never felt like, how can we help you? It was always, you're not doing this properly, you're not doing that properly, and I've always said, well, yes, I know that, and that's why I need help. You know, I wasn't, as a one-man band, I was never going to be able to juggle every single ball in the air. I was going to drop some at some point, and that was my concern. So. Yeah.
No, it's understandable.
So from day one, it was very difficult. It didn't seem helpful from day one.
Yeah, and I understand that. When my twin boys were born, they were 10 weeks premature, and they'd spent 6 weeks in the neonatal. And in the last week, I took a psychotic breakdown, and I was having like delusions, thinking that I'd struck them. And I was so convinced that I had, but the nurses, Alison, my wife, they were all like, "You've not done anything. We would have heard it, we would have seen it." But I was so convinced, but I was just really not well, and because obviously I declared that social work had to get involved. We took the boys home on the first day, and they were waiting at the door. And it was the same deal. We let them in. Admitted, I don't know how I'm going to be. I know I'm going to struggle. If I'm already struggling now, they're not even home. I need help. I need support. For my experience, in fairness, they were quite good. Because Alison was there as well. She'd vouched, because we both had a bit of trust issues with social work. I used to actually work for the social work department, and I was bullied for my mental health. So I was bullied for that. Alison, when she was a child, had been through the social care and foster care systems, and they really badly let her down. So they could tell we were also both very traumatized by separate experiences, and we were both feeling vulnerable about social workers coming into our house. And I had to give them their due with that. They were quite understanding. But then when the second time rolled around a couple of years later, when I took not well, and sadly I did strike one of my sons, that was when it all crumbled. And I just
and do you think that it crumbled because the right help wasn't implemented when it should have been? Do you think that maybe you could have maybe kept it together? I don't know the right language to use, but maybe kept it together if the right support would have been in place.
When I actually felt like I was being persecuted for being honest.
Yeah, I did. I have. Yeah.
It was one of those ones, like when it happened and when I struck here, and that was just after in Scotland the laws against smacking it was like a no smacking ban. It just got introduced, and I was absolutely terrified. I was like, what if I tell them this and then they take my kids away from me? And it was like, but Andrew, you need to be upfront. You need to tell them. So I was, and I was brutally honest. I said how badly I was struggling, that I was having suicidal thoughts at the time. I knew I wasn't well. I was needing help. And I got a phone call in my work saying, "Don't go home. You have to go somewhere else. You can't be around your family. You're dangerous." And my team leader at the time, but said he had never heard such a guttural scream from a man in his entire life, because I just like dropped the phone and I just started wailing and howling. I couldn't. What I just thought I'd failed. I just thought I was the ultimate failure. As a parent.
And I think that is how you're made to feel, to be honest. And I think that's a purpose-built tactic to make you feel that way. I mean, so for 6 years I was essentially a carer to my 3 children alone. It was up to me to take them on days out, afternoons out, everything, all by myself. If my children was in school, my eldest and my middle child would take 2 staff each to go out. But I've took them on holiday on my own. I took them swimming on my own, and I won't stand here and say it was a pleasure every time, because it wasn't.
No.
Sometimes I would take them out, or I'd go on holiday, and I would think, why have I done this to myself? This is really overwhelming. But I never wanted them to not have experiences just because they're disabled.
Yeah.
And I always wanted them to have fun and I never had an amazingly fun childhood. So I wanted that for my children always. And so I guess I just thought you got to get through it. And during the beginning, I never blamed social services. I just thought they just don't have the resources to help me. So I suppose I just have to get through it. I mean, at some point they introduced they started to pay for activities for the children, which, let's face it, just because you're disabled, you would be doing activities anyway. You know, that's not a part of a support package. That's just normal life. Going to a Saturday club.
Yeah.
You know, going to a club during the school holidays. It's just that in our case we have to access specialist provisions, because we can't access normal everyday things. And then 11 months ago, I finally got some care put in place in the form of 2 healthcare assistants, which we have one in the morning and one in the afternoon, Monday to Friday. However, that's nowhere near the support that I should be getting. I should be getting 5 times more than what I actually have been getting through the past 11 months. Now, the only reason why we've managed over the 11 months with 1 carer in the morning and 1 carer in the afternoon is because those 2 carers have been absolutely amazing women. And they have been put in a job and a position where they're doing the work of 2 or 3 two healthcare workers. But because they're such good healthcare workers and they've not wanted to let me down, they've not wanted to let my children down, because I can see that they really, really care for them. They've just managed to get through it the same way, I guess, the same way I have. Which is leading up. So over the years, we've had numerous occasions where the children have escaped from home. They actively try to escape from home. So it's always going to be a risk. So we've had lots of stuff like this. So all these incidences go against me as a person because they've escaped from my care. As I say, it's quite hard when you've got children trying to escape and you're only one person. So we've had a new bathroom fitted. So we had no access to the washroom facilities. My carer flagged this up as a concern that they should be in respite or something whilst the bathroom was being done. Nothing was done. So Sunday we went to my dad's house to have a wash. My dad doesn't have the locking facilities I do. So my son escaped and my daughter followed. I quickly went, the police was there. They'd been flagged down by bystanders. They put the children in the Paul and Scarlett in a car together where Scarlett attacked Paul. The police wouldn't let me near my children. They were shouting at me and my dad, wouldn't let us finish our sentences. They had already made their minds up about who we was as people. I had to walk away because I felt like I was being baited. into acting a certain way.
Yeah.
So I walked away, I rang social services myself, and I rang the 2 carers because somebody needed to advocate for my children, and I wasn't being able, or they wasn't allowing me to advocate for them. They was in a locked car on a dual carriageway, all the way, on the side of a dual carriageway, which is not acceptable. So they wouldn't let the carers advocate for them either. So the carers ended up coming to advocate for me because at this point I was too emotional to advocate for myself.
Yeah.
The social services finally turned up. It was an on-duty social worker, wonderful, wonderful woman. She'd briefly read my case and was happy for my children to return home. Tuesday, the police requested a meeting because they wasn't happy. And during that meeting, my social worker and her manager and the police decided that I was not capable of keeping my own children safe, and decided to keep my children in respite. And that was, well, apart from my visit today, that was the last time I seen them, was Monday morning when I dropped them to school, and they were taken to respite after that. Because they said that I'm not capable of keeping my children safe, so now I have to go to court.
That's
today,
quite frankly, the way you're being treated is absolutely disgusting. That's horrible.
I've had the support. Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, I've had the support of the carers who have constantly supported me. The school who have constantly said that they're concerned that there's not enough put in place to support. And it's never really been about parenting, and that's been evident in every single meeting, that this is not a parenting issue. This is an issue where not enough support is implemented. So there's some, it's been said, we can't really assess Leanne as a parent until the correct support has been put in place, because at the moment she's doing everybody's job. So I mean, I've had, and I think that must say something for my character, that people have, supported us and been pushing for more support.
And you're getting a lot of support as well, particularly from the stand-up community, which is brilliant. But they've arranged a night to support you, so we can get the word out. Tell us about. Yeah. Also, we know what it's about. But tell us the details.
So it's at Cradley Heath. It's in Cradley Heath at the Hollybush Arts Centre on the 2nd of April. You can buy the tickets online for, I believe it's £5. And this is a reason I'm so happy that I've been open and honest from the very beginning, because if I hadn't have been honest, I wouldn't have had the support of all my friends that are trying to raise money for me, trying to constantly message me, rang me, just to make sure that I wasn't sort of going into depression or going, just trying to keep my spirits up. And it's been, I want to cry now. I've just been crying constantly all the time. It's just been, I was allowed an hour today to visit my children, but only under supervision, like I'm some sort of danger to my children. I've been told by the system that I've let my children down, and that I have not let my children down. No. My children have been let down, not by me, but by a lot of people, but not by me. It's been so difficult, and the way I've been spoken to by both the police and social services, I believe if my mental health was in a bad state before this happened, I would have killed myself. Fortunately, before this incident, I was in a very good place. So luckily, my mental health was in a good place at that time, which I think, that it's, and I'm confident that I am a good parent and that I am a good mother. So them telling me that I've let my children down, I haven't took that as gospel. I haven't allowed it to affect me, because I know it's a load of crap. So say.
It's the biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard. What what
I'm hoping is that when we go to court, that the judge is going to see this case for exactly what it is. That's what I'm but I've never been. I don't know what to expect.
Mhm.
I don't know whether they're just going to read a report and believe it. I don't know.
Mm.
So I am really scared. I'm very, very scared.
Yeah.
My children don't know what's going on at the moment because
Mhm.
they're non-verbal.
Yeah. You wouldn't be human if you weren't scared. This is a terrifying situation to be in. What I would wish it on my worst enemy, because it's a fate worse than death going through something
Yeah.
like this. And I know, sadly, I know exactly how you feel about when you've seen your kids today. I had to wait when I got removed from my kids. I had to wait a fortnight. I had to wait 2 weeks before I saw them. And my wife had to be there. Mom and dad had to be there. And because they were only two at the time, those 2 weeks, they'd almost forgotten who I was.
Yeah,
What
because of
what
course,
they were cuddled into Alison. And they were like, it took them a while to kind of what I was like, boys, it's daddy, it's me. But it wouldn't sink in. So we were like, right, let's take them to the park. And we took them down to the park, and it was horrible.
Mine was in an office. It was like a sort of office, and my daughter just kept on taking me to the door because I assumed she wanted me to take her home.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the most torturous parts was at the end of it, because they couldn't manage to get them into the car. I had to put them in the car, and I didn't want to put them in the car. I wanted to put them in my car. I wanted to take them home, and and they don't understand. They think I'm putting them in that car. They think I'm doing that to them. I didn't want to do that, but other than being cooperative, I mean, I was quite upset because my son's eczema was the worst I've ever seen it, and so I had to go and purchase some cream for him. And I just thought, well, first of all, I feel sorry for my son because he must be itching and everything. And second of all, I think if I would have let his eczema get that bad, I would have had a social worker at my doorstep asking me why I'm not giving the proper treatment to my son.
Yep.
And so I'm running around getting pads and cream and everything. When they're in my care, nobody runs around after me, dropping cream to my door, pads to my door, everything. That doesn't happen for me.
Yeah.
So and my youngest son has also been removed from my care, who he's now been put with his dad because apparently I can't look after him either. Although he doesn't present dangers in running off or anything like that. They said that if I can't keep one of my kids safe, how can I keep any of my children safe? So it's my house is absolutely dead right now. It feels like it's no one's here. It just feels like a ghost town. And as silly as it sounds, my bathroom that was done for my daughter, I didn't shower. I didn't go in it for 2 days because, as silly as it sounds, it was made for my daughter.
It's not silly.
I wanted her to go in it. I wanted her to sort of christen it, and I felt horrible. I just didn't want to stand in the. I don't want to go in the bathroom because it's been built for my daughter and she's not here.
Exactly. It's not, and that's not a silly thing. That is not a silly thing to think.
Every time I go into the bathroom, all I can think of is this was built for Scarlett and she's not even here.
But that's why I say it's not a silly thing to think that. You're thinking of your kids first, and that's evident in everything that you're saying. It's 100% accurate.
I mean, regardless of their disabilities, all I've ever wanted is for more people to understand. I've never sat there and thought, I wish my life was easier. All I've ever thought was, I wish people wouldn't judge us so much as a family. That's all. And I've learned to live with judgment, but what I can't live with is judgment from social services and police, because that actually affects my life directly. So that's been the hardest judgment.
I'm going to ask a question, and like I said, with anything that we talk about today, you do not need to answer if you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you're getting judgment? Do you think it's because you're a single parent? Do you think it's because they feel like you can't have your kids? Like the BS stereotypes, which I'm saying right now is 100% not true.
I think that there's a number of reasons that are going against me, which is usually the case for most people. I think, firstly, I'm a statistic. I'm a single mom on a council estate first of all. And so we have that stigma. We also have the disability stigma as well. So there's people just don't understand disability. So for things that, you know, I often get told, oh, you just need to talk to them more. And with like potty training, it's like, what do you mean they're not? Well, I mean, this was from an actual social worker, by the way. She said, I've been told that my son can't be in pads forever. Well, he's disabled. We don't know how long he's going to be in pads for.
Yeah,
he's disabled.
What's the thing? Let's take the age and the disability out of the equation. When you start potty training like a kid, what we went through with Kieran and Connor, obviously, they say every child develops differently. They don't say an age range. They don't say they develop differently until like 7, or they develop, and then all of a sudden they uniform. Everybody develops differently, no matter what. That is utter. That's utter horse shit. What they've told you, utter horse shit. That's really got my back up now. But I'm so sorry you're going through this.
I mean, I bought a camping toilet which we have in our living room, which they complained about. But I said, but it's because you would have a potty in your living room. Yeah, it's no different. It's just that he's a large boy, so he needs something different. And he was using it a little bit before this incident, and I'm just a little bit worried at the moment that he might be going backwards, and all that hard work that I've done might not be still continuing, because they won't tell me either. By the way, I keep asking for an update of how they've been, and all I keep getting is know that they're okay. That's all I get. And
that's not what you want. That's not what you want to hear. You want to hear. You want to hear specifics, even if they're bad specifics. They're your kids. You want, even though it'll break your heart to say, oh, they've had a bad day because they're missing their mum. What you want to hear that. You want to know everything.
I think some of the judgments come from probably what I've done to myself, to be honest with you. For the past 5, I mean, I was in a really bad state of mental health around about 8 years ago, when I briefly tried to commit suicide. And when I came out of that, I had this mentality, whereas I started to absolutely not give a fuck about what other people thought, because a lot of caring about what other people thought was affecting my own mental health, and I had to let that go, because if I didn't let it go, I would end up in the same position. A lot of the people that are not there for you when you need them. Yeah. So I think I've gone the absolute opposite direction of what I used to be, and I'm so in people's faces, and I'm so outrageous that I think I portray a picture for myself, and I think it might be a bit of a brick wall, a bit of a shell that I use to protect myself. And I just go, I don't give a fuck, I'm this loud person. And I think I give an image of myself that it's probably not exactly correct. You know, it's a magnified over the top version. So when you see my statuses and my pictures and stuff, I think I probably do feed into this stereotype of a chavvy council estate person. And then I also feed into my comedy as well.
So just before we do jump into the comedy, because I want to hear about your comedy. I want to hear about the good things, the things that bring you joy. One of the things that I will say is that I do like my research, or as they call it, Facebook stalking. Let's call a spade a spade. That's what it is. And when so I'll be up front for everybody that's watching. Lou, who had came on one of the episodes beforehand, had messaged and said, look, can you reach out to a friend of mine, see if there's anything that you can do. So I did, and when you thankfully accepted the Facebook friend request, I did the usual, because I was going to ask you to come on the podcast, talk about your story. And all I can say is there is absolutely 100% nothing fake about you. There is no and that's rare to come across. It's very rare to come across, especially on social media. You see it yourself. Everybody puts up the happy posts all the time, or pictures of their dinner. That stuff really annoys me. Well, I don't want that really gets. I don't want to know what you had for your dinner. Well, as long as you ate, that be grateful. And what I seen like some of it, obviously, and I seen some of the posts about your kids and stuff like that as well. And
Yeah.
I saw a damn good mum,
Thank you.
who's working hard under very challenging circumstances, which not a lot of people could do. Very few could do. Well, I struggled with my twin boys, and I still struggle, and by all the checklists, apparently I am okay, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But
I've got tick boxing checklist, yeah.
And I've got 11 wife. I've got a nice house. Like I didn't and this isn't me kind of meaning to brag or that, but I didn't have the best, but I didn't have the worst childhood. Like I still have a mum and dad who loves me. Well, I still have a supportive family. Well, and that's probably why I maybe got more support than I maybe should have in my situation, because I was so upfront with my mental health. Like they saw in their eyes, I came from a good family. Well, and because I was trying to play ball to get my kids back, what I really wanted to call them out and say was, this is bullshit. It shouldn't just be this for someone who seems like they're come from a good family. Don't take the situation into account at all. Look at the parent. And even if you just looked at me as a parent, I could have had my kids removed for longer, because I was being a horrible dad. I wasn't being a good dad, and I was upfront about that.
I do absolutely agree. I think a lot of, and not for everybody, but I think a lot of the problems, it's a social class problem. So if you're a working class person, they're going to have more power over you, and it's a lot easier, especially if you're not as well educated, so you don't know your rights and etc. And just because you don't know them, it doesn't mean that should be used against you. Absolutely not. And everybody should be treated equally. However, that's not the case. Working class people are penalised just for being working class. One of my carers, the lady that comes in the morning, she's worked with children with disabilities for 20 years, and she always chooses the most challenging families because she's very well educated. She knows what she's talking about, and she wants to help people. She said she doesn't want to walk into a house where they've got a sensory room, they've got all of the resources and to help themselves. She wants to walk into a difficult situation like my own and make a difference and make an impact. And that's why she said yes to this job, because she could see it was challenging.
Well, and I don't get where the stigma of the stigma of working class. Well, I grew up working class. Well, my dad's a painter, mom's a secretary. Well, and when people say to me that they think that I'm middle class, I take that as an insult, because I'm proud of my work. I'm proud of my working class background.
Yeah,
I'm proud that I grew up in a council estate. I'm glad that I grew up with the friends that I grew up with, and the schools that I went to weren't private or all that rubbish. I'm glad I was brought up with good manners, a good work ethic. And you were talking about how 8 years ago you tried to kill yourself. 9 years ago I tried to kill myself as well, and I was rushed to hospital. Police had to break down my door. My friends were seeing me in A&E for 5 hours as I'm getting all these tests done on me to see how quote unquote fucked up I am. 2 months later, I met who is now my wife. We've now got we've got a great marriage. Challenging marriage, because let's face it, I'm a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Every man is a pain in the ass. She's a bit of a dick sometimes as well. She knows that.
Yeah.
But we've got a great family. We've got lovely kids. Now, 9 years ago when I tried to kill myself, 2 weeks after, I was in college at the time. 2 weeks afterwards, people at that college had an intervention because they weren't comfortable being around someone with mental health issues who tried to kill themselves.
Wow.
Now, if you take from that situation and consider where I got to now, where I've got to now technically shouldn't have happened. By all definitions, it should have been something like that they should spiral and bottom out and be a failure. And I'm not a failure, and you are definitely not a failure. You're not a failure. You are a brilliant person, and you're a brilliant mum.
And since 8 years ago, I also, in all this as well, I gained a degree in special educational needs.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled through that because I wasn't able to see. Most single parents can access childcare for their children while they're in education.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't access it because they didn't do specialist childcare, so I wasn't able to access that.
Yeah.
It was only, you know, your average child minders, etc. So my dad helped me through that. He helped me. So I also, not only did I claw my way through those years, but I also tried to be as pragmatic as I could be. I never wanted to feel like we were going nowhere. I wanted better for my children than what I had. And I felt that going into education was going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, statistically, if your parent has a degree, what, you know, your children will go on to. And I'm not saying my two eldest will because they're non-verbal. However, hopefully my youngest will. And I was hoping it would put us in a better position. Maybe in the future, I give me more opportunities. So, you know, never once did I feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
I've always tried my hardest to just keep moving forward and put myself in a better position year after year.
Definitely.
I never thought this would happen.
And that's what being a parent's about. You want your kids to have more than you had. It's like I had a good childhood. I had a lot of things that most kids that were in our estate at the time didn't have. But even then, I was still going to push myself. And I want my kids to have even better than that. I want them to always. The only thing that I ever faulted my dad was for that I didn't feel like I was loved, and it wasn't down to him. It was down to me. Like he was working his ass to make sure that we had the life that we wanted. But
it's probably a generation thing as well.
Yeah, but it was he was working hard for us, and that's what, and I more than respect that now and appreciate it. But when I was a kid, all I wanted was to give me a hug and tell me he loved me. And now that I'm a dad, that's what I do every day. I'm constantly giving my kids hugs and telling them how much I love them and how I never, how if I'm doing stuff like this, like for the podcast, they're always in my thoughts. It's the reason I keep pushing and trying to raise awareness. I want them to see their dad and go, you know what? Yeah. He tries. He's a I don't want to just see me as dad. I want to see the human. He makes mistakes. He falls. He stumbles.
Yeah.
Like even when I came back after I took that well, it was like I'm always up front about my mental health now with them. They don't understand it, but it's always good to say it, because if they say if I snap and I'll maybe lose my temper with them, I've never hurt them again. Clear that right now. But you're in situations, you get stressed, you lose your temper. But I'll always go up and apologize. And if they ask why daddy mad, I was like, daddy had a moment. Daddy's brain's a bit wonky, but he'll always try. But daddy always loves you, and he'll always look after you. No matter what. Doesn't matter if he's angry, he always loves you. No matter if he's sad, he always loves you. And they won't understand it now, but later on they'll get.
Yeah. And it's important that we talk to our children about it, so that we start a generation of children. We can start a generation of adults that are not afraid to talk. I think awareness is absolutely needed. I mean, you notice on my Facebook, there's no filter in my posts, and I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and said, I wait to see what you post, because you make me feel like it's okay not to be okay, or you make me feel like it's okay not to be perfect, because too many people try to portray a perfect person because they're afraid of being judged.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid of being judged, because I tried to commit suicide because I was so afraid of it, because I was so consumed with what people thought about me and how I was portrayed to the world. And then I guess I realised, if I stop caring what the general public think of me, I have power in just being able to be myself and just let it go. Just enjoy yourself, be yourself.
Yeah,
you don't need to be perfect. No. Nobody's fucking perfect.
No one will ever be perfect.
Our imperfections make us who we are as people, so just embrace them.
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
like a few months ago. I took a wee downturn mental health wise. And I put up I put up a post like saying, "Look, can someone please tell me some nice things about me?
Yeah.
What I'm struggling, and I'm not seeing it in myself right
Mm.
now." And this, I posted it, and then I thought, "Fuck, why did I do that? Why did I quote unquote seem weak?" But
No,
the response I got from it was brilliant. Everybody's
yeah,
saying like that took a lot of balls to come out and say that,
yeah, yeah,
like you're a good
yeah.
dad, you're a good person, like sorry you're struggling,
Mm.
but you're doing good, keep going. And it just felt
Yeah.
so, I was like, right, this is what I need to do now.
Mm.
What am I
I
we kind
can
of
complete I can completely relate, because on every post that I've posted since this ordeal, I've had so many people comment and say how much of a good mom that they think I am, and how much of a good person that they think I am. And there's been times where I've sat here and all I wanted to do was break down, and I've just literally just read the comments over and over and the inboxes over and over again to remind myself, if I wasn't a good person, if I wasn't a good parent, I wouldn't have all of these people say all of these would back me up so hard.
Mhm.
And not just those people, but professionals back me up too.
Yep.
So it has really massively helped me.
If you boil it
So
right
I can
down,
relate.
if you boil it right down, if you were this quote unquote bad mum,
Mm.
you wouldn't be feeling this horrible.
I,
You wouldn't
yeah.
you wouldn't be feeling this horrible. You wouldn't be fighting,
Mm.
and you wouldn't have so many people making sure that you keep fighting. And that is what we're going to do. And that is what and that is why I wanted you on here to get this out. It doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter your background. Look at the person, don't look at the circumstances. You're a good
Yeah.
person, Leanne. And I can already tell you're kind of like my wife. You take no shit, and that's what you
Yeah.
need from a mum. That's what you
Yeah.
especially need from a Scottish mum.
Yeah.
In Alison's case, obviously she's Scottish, but for anybody in the UK, you need a strong, confident mum.
So
You have the mentality of a Scottish maw.
I was like, so
Keep that mentality.
I'd be okay. I'd be okay to come and marry a Scotsman then.
Mm. Well, we'll adopt you, and you're an honorary Scottish
Yeah.
maw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep that mentality and keep it going.
Mm.
And let's talk about your stand-up comedy. What
Yeah.
got you into it, and how were you able to juggle it with 3 kids? I can barely juggle it with 2.
So I've always been told I'm funny, and
Hmm.
I've always been told to do stand up. I never wanted to do it. I wrote a few jokes down that I thought might work. I never had any intention of doing it on stage. And I entered a 1-year relationship. It's my only relationship that I've had since being a single parent. It was 1 year. Let's just say it was one of the best years of my life, I've got nothing bad to say about it. He was one of the best people I've ever met in my life, and he changed the way I viewed the world, really. And I never thought I would have a relationship with 3 children with disabilities, and he changed my mind. So when that ended after a year, he was Muslim, so due to his family not being quite happy about it, neither of us wanted to break up, but that essentially happened. And I felt myself going into a really bad depression, and I could foresee it coming. So I just wanted to just refocus my brain, because I couldn't go there again. I was trying to avoid it so hard. And so I decided that I would do stand up. I thought I would just do one open mic night, and I would focus on writing a 10-minute set, and just trying it once, and just focusing, just redirecting my brain. My sisters found the Holly Bush in Cradley Heath, which is it's an open mic night, and within 5, I think it was so I had like 4 days, I think, to prepare for the set. And I remember like pacing up and down the kitchen. It wasn't although I thought it was 10 minutes written down, when I got there it was about 4 minutes. But I absolutely loved it. I've had my sisters supported me from the very. This is how I was managed to do it, because my sisters supported me, and my dad supported us. So there was always, they recognised that I had a hard job with my children, and that they wanted me to do something for myself, and they wanted me to be happy. And you know, if you can find some happiness and you can find some you time, then they saw that, and I'm so lucky to have people in my life that saw that. So there was that between the three of them. And quite more recently, their dad. Between those people, I've always had a babysit to go and do it. But I got the bug. I did it once, and I got the bug, and I wanted to go back again. And I've been in love with comedy ever since. Being a part of the circuit has felt. I've made so many brilliant friends, and just doing it, it just makes me feel. It made me feel confident. It's just, and it's made me feel cool as well. Like I'm one of the cool people. You know, at the end of the day, or the end of the night, when the crowd want to come up to you, and you're the cool one that just told jokes on stage, and they're like, and you're like, oh, you know, it was really good, and you want to go, yeah, I know, thanks, but you know, you have to be very polite and say, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. You know, it's just always, it's been a huge part of my life for the past 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
And so I won runner-up best newcomer on the Midland circuit. Brilliant. Which was a massive achievement. It meant a lot.
That's
for other comics as well to vote for me. So it was just comedy for me has been a massive log up, and talking about it has brought a smile to my face. And this past week, it's been one of the only times I've literally smiled and forgot about what's happening. Is talking about that part of my life. I absolutely love it.
Because that's what I was going to say. Like, we're covering a lot of kind of heavy stuff in this session. But see, when I asked you about the comedy, your entire face lit up. And it's why I was smiling so much. It was so lovely to see. You have such a beautiful smile. You really do. What?
Even without my tea.
See these two? They're caps. I got them knocked out when I was in my 20s. Three, as they would call them down there, chavs, jumped me and kicked the shit out of me and knocked them out. Well, I was just lucky that I had a wee bit of money spare that I could get the caps in. So trust me. Well, I was the kid.
I have a denture, and I will be wearing it for court, obviously. Yeah. But it's very uncomfortable to wear. So generally, I just don't wear it.
Yeah. What I had to do is when I went to get my teeth done, they had to drip, because like every quote unquote Ned we call up here, they only did the job half right. They knocked 1.5 teeth out, not the full 2. So I had to get the half taken out, and then had to get the rest of the stuff done. So it was like 2 metal spokes, and then the veneers made and put in. And best part was, it was the day after I'd got jumped that I got taken in for the initial surgery, and I'm lying there, and it was after I'd done a show, and I'd been out drinking the night before as well, so I was half cut, and I was like lying in the chair like this. And then all of a sudden, and it's like every ironic song was played on the radio, like Keep the Faith, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? All these it was all these like Hold On Hope and stuff like that, and I'm like, I just got my head kicked in. So I'm just lying there, letting them just get on with what they're doing, and all of a sudden I heard this scampering. And then I heard the other scamper on the feet, and I'm just lying. What happened?
I have a question, because apparently I'm allowed a question.
You are indeed. So, you're jumping ahead, but I'm going to let you do it because you are a special guest. I'm going to let you jump ahead for this one. Fire away.
So we were talking about comedy and how it's helped me. Now, there's been a lot of people who say that they've had to leave comedy because it's been detrimental to their own mental health. So do you think, has it ever been detrimental to your health? Have you ever had to step away?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Because I'm not a comedian. In the traditional sense of the word. I always wanted to be an actor. I did acting for like 20 odd years. On the stage in Nativity, caught the bug. That was it. And then I went and did my HND in acting. Went and got all that kind of done, and went and set up my own theatre company, and had a tour arranged, which was great. And I was so buzzing. Well, we booked this theatre that held like 150 seats, over 2 nights, and 8 people came over 2 nights, and out of 300, and it completely broke me. Well, it just destroyed my mental health. And up until February of this year, I had not been on a stage again in 9 years.
Oh wow!
I couldn't face it. It was just a constant. It was like a trauma. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And what the comedy thing, I'm calling myself like the Godfather 3 of comedians. Like every time I think I'm trying to get out, they just pull me back in.
Yeah.
It was like I did 2 gigs before I'd had the big breakdown. Like, do like kind of trial stand-ups. Died painful deaths in both. I was like, you know what? I'm quirky, I'm witty, I'm not a comedian. Cool. I'll just back out. And I seen a wee open night thing come up in January, and I thought, well, I'm gonna jump on and watch other comedians, and just I'm not gonna have a set prepared. I'm just gonna talk about my kids. Well, because my kids are funny. Well, at least I think they're funny. So I jumped on and did the wee 5-minute set talking about them, and the guys were just pissing themselves laughing. They're like, look, oh, you should really keep going. You're good. And I did another couple of gigs and felt a bit kind of rocky. I was like, not too sure. Well, and then I got asked to go on stage to perform at the comedy festival. Well, it was meant to do one night, wound up doing 2. I really should have stuck with the one, because the second night made me feel really insecure again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I can keep doing this. So so I went to cancel.
Yeah,
So,
it can be heartbreaking when
if
you have a bad gig, or it can be.
Yeah, so I went to cancel the other gigs. And to say, look, I'm not. Basically what happened, my stick's around mental health, because I've got mental health, and it's like, that's what I want to raise awareness on. So if I can make kind of jokes about my own mental health and stuff, fair dues.
Yeah.
So I was making jokes about that, and there's obviously, it's going to be hit or miss. And this person, it was a miss, didn't like it, and was like heckling. I was like, oh, you know what? Don't know if I can do it. So I kind of explained the situation or what had happened to the other people that had me booked. Some of them were like, you know what? Respect to you for saying so. We'll just pull you out. But the majority said, "No, we're keeping you on because you're just starting out. And we've seen the stuff you were doing, and it's good. And we want to keep you going. So you're not getting the chance to leave." And I'm like, "Fuck, come on, let me go. I'm actually giving up my time so you can get decent comedians on, and you want me? No, go away." But so that's just kind of the way that's working with me right now. But
it's funny you say you did some stuff about the kids. I never did anything about being a mom up until quite recently, actually.
Yeah.
I never felt I wasn't ready for it at the beginning, because that's raw for me. So my comedy is usually, it's about online dating. I mean, I do a sex toy set where I just go through weird sex toys. It's sort of that sort of comedy, and a little bit about myself,
Yeah.
But I never really, I mentioned I was a mom, never really spoke about it. I guess, like I said, I didn't think I felt comfortable enough on the stage to be as it in that raw.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to feel comfortable enough on stage to start talking about that part of my life, because for a long time my comedy life and my parenting life, it was that, for me, in my mind, it was 2 separate things. That was my break. The comedy thing was my break from the everyday stresses and everyday hardships of being a parent of 3 disabled children. It was like I got to go away for a night and just be Leanne. And I wasn't someone's mum. I wasn't a special needs mum. I was just Leanne, and I had an opinion and a personality, all of my own, in my own identity, which felt quite good, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I kind of did the kind of the stand-up comedy about my sons was more it was more about the self-deprecating for myself when I'm talking about the kids. Like, for example, I only ever said to my wife, I only wanted 1 kid if we ever had any, and then I wound up with 2. So I say, that's the worst buy one. So I always say that's the worst buy one get one free deal I ever got. which they all know would be a joke, because no matter if it wasn't intentional, I wouldn't trade them for anything in the world. And so it's just like little bits, and then I thought, right, I'm going to leave that kind of to the side, and I'll just sprinkle that in a little bit and focus on the mental health stuff, because if I'm talking about the experiences that I've went through, and I'm able to make a joke about it, like one of the most risky ones that I do is that I say that I've tried to kill myself 5 times since I was 14, which is proof I'm the ultimate choke artist. And it gets that kind of laugh of like, oh my God, that's funny, but no way did you just say that. And it's a case of like, it's why I do like the podcast, and it's why I thought I'll do it with the comedy, because if I can talk about it and I can feel comfortable talking about it, it's also helping other people hopefully feel like they can talk about it.
100%, and that's exactly why not only in comedy I talk about stuff so that people feel better about their lives, but also why I've been so open about my story with social services, because I want other people to not feel alone. If they're in that position, I want them to see that actually they don't have to be alone and they can get support. And hopefully I can pave the way. But if other people get treated as badly as I do, if I can go ahead and win, then I can make a path behind me for other people to follow. So
it's not a case of like, if you win, you will win. We are going to make sure that you do win.
I'll never ever stop fighting, because I've got nothing left to live for. So
you've always got that, and I know obviously it's a country away, but you've got me around if you need me. I've been in I'm in similar enough of a situation, like your kids were taken away, but I was taken away from my kids, but it's the same situation where I just thought I wanted to end it. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. And I think because I was on like some kind of antipsychotic drugs at the time, like I was stoned at my nut. But I was like, I was only awake for like 2 out of 24 hours. And I just remember like it was like seeing 2 roads in front of me. There was a really short one, which was just basically, which would have been just, pop pills or get a knife. That's it, done. There was a longer road, and it was like, right, you've got this hurdle to get to, and this hurdle to get to, and this hurdle to get to. But at the end, you're going to get back to your wife and back to your kids. And I really considered that short road, really, and that's a lot
because it ends the pain right there.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I was just like, they'd be better off without me. They wouldn't have this trauma, blah blah blah. But then it was just that way. I just kept thinking, I just kept looking at that kind of longer road and just kept seeing Kieran and Connor at the end of it, and I was like, I've got to get back. I've got to get back to them.
I thought to myself, I'm not gonna lie, a moment crossed my mind where I thought, if I kill myself, maybe they'll look into my case in more depth, and they'll show them for the failure that they've been. However, then my children would still be without a mother, so it wouldn't matter that they had to answer to what they've done. It wouldn't matter, because my children would be in the same position. So
everything that you've just said right now, everything you said, write that down. Write it down and present that for your case. Like you've got to that they've put you at that stage where you honestly thought killing yourself would be better because it would expose the faults they've made, and that'll make people take notice.
I'm trying to write everything down, because I know that once I get to court, I'm going to probably crumble. And I'm probably going to forget a lot of things. So I'm trying to prepare as much previous to it as I possibly can, with notes and any evidence. I've got a lot of evidence in my favour, because, like I said, I have been wrongly treated for the past 7 years. So I've got a lot of evidence in my favour. There's been a lot of lies told that I have evidence to prove that it's a lie, that it's all wrong. So I've just got to, at the moment, I'm just trying to sort of gather enough together to take with me.
In a weird sick way, treat it a bit like what you would do if you were doing a comedy routine. Because you like to get all your stuff down, you like to get it in the right order, you like to make sure it's all there and ready to go. And then when you go into that courtroom, treat that like your stage. Treat
Yeah.
that like your stage, and it'll all be there.
Yeah. I've been told this by another comedian. He said, you're a comedian, you stand, you go on stage and you speak in front of a lot of people, you know, so with confidence, and you own the room. So he said, go in there, speak with confidence, own the room. And it's going to be hard, but I mean, luckily I do have, you know, experience in speaking in front of a lot of people. So hopefully that's going to help.
Yeah.
And I do keep thinking, I went to university, so I'm trying to look at it as like an essay. This is my special essay.
Yeah.
That I have to get all the evidence and gather all the information I can for the biggest essay of my life, if you will.
Well, and it also proves another thing that we were talking about earlier about like the whole kind of, they look down at you like working class and all that kind of stuff. Again, it doesn't compute with me. I don't get it. What working class background all the way. What you're a quote unquote, and I'm saying this in quotes because I believe that all of this is bullshit. But they'll look at you like you're a single mum with 3 kids that have disabilities, blah blah, like blah blah blah. All like we're loud, chavvy, outgoing, all this rubbish. You got a degree. You got a degree with all that against you. You got it. And there are people that are in so much better positions than you. And they've got diddly squat. So that's something. Run with that. Take that to the bank. You've done everything you can to get a better life for your kids and also improve your own life to be a better person and a better mum. And you're constantly doing it. Leanne, I'll back you all the way with this if you need anything.
I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you having me as a special guest. And I fucking appreciate absolutely fucking everybody that's even just said one kind word. Because, like I said, I've reread it over and over and over again. It's like it's helped me from going into a deeper hole. You know, it's kept me from. It's kept me gripping. You know, from falling into that hole. So it's.
If you do fall into that hole, just remember one thing. I've been down the bottom. I know the way out.
Yeah.
So if you do fall, I'll be there waiting to get you out.
I'll come for some directions. Yeah.
Yep. Just never trust a left-handed person that knows his left from his right. But I won't want to keep you on too long. But we'll round off with the question that I would ask like all my guests, and you've definitely got it in you to give good answers with this one, because with everything you've been going through and with everything that you probably sadly will go through. So it might work well for you as well answering this question, because you can replay this back to yourself and listen to your own advice and be like, right, let's do this. So if you can give one piece of advice to anybody struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be and why?
I think I've learned 2 things from 2 different times in my life when I've been low. The first thing is to not allow people's judgments into your soul, because you know that's good. That is detrimental, to be honest. You know, it's only people that judge you that are the people that are unhappy with their own lives, that want to feel superior to somebody else. Good people that want to help you will not make you feel like that. So don't listen to the people that are putting you down. Go, be open and go with the people that want to help you. That's what I learned from the first time. This time round, I would say, no matter, look, I've been doing things in my house and I've been trying to gather things together, and it's been taking me 3-4 times longer because I'm fighting against my body wants to give up. My body wants to go to jello. So give yourself the time. You know, don't be mad at yourself that it's taking you 8 times longer than what it might take somebody else. Just give yourself the credit that you're still fighting on. Even if you have to take one tiny little baby step forward, you're not standing still. You know, you're still moving forward, and you might take a few steps back, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to keep. You can't keep going forward, and you can't get past that mark again. So no matter how difficult it is, no matter how slow that you have to go, don't allow that to make you feel like you're not making progress. We was talking about potty training earlier. There's no standard to the progress that you have to make. So just make it at your pace, in your time, and just keep making those baby steps, basically.
And see, when this goes up on my channel, what I want you just to replay those bits of advice that you gave, keep replaying them back to yourself whenever you feel low, whenever you feel like you can't do this, because you absolutely can. Well, we'll all be here. What if you need us? What, I mean, if you're in Scotland, I make a damn good cup of coffee. Give me a cup of coffee.
Yeah, brilliant. I do love a good cup of coffee, because I don't drink it normally. So when I do drink it, I'm like absolutely buzzing. So yeah.
Well, don't worry. What? See, when all this is done, what, we'll get a big family day. What, me, what, you and the kids, me, the wife, and my 2 kids. What, and we'll just we'll have coffee. How about that?
Honestly, I mean, my daughter I've got scars on my body when my daughter scratches me, and my son, he's so destructive. But I said, at the moment, I would give anything to get scratched. I would give anything to see a cup get smashed.
Yeah. My son has actually damaged my eye. What he protested over an episode of SpongeBob, flung his hand back, and he cut right across the cornea of my eye, and it's permanently damaged now. So if I'm on a computer too long, or if I've not had enough rest, that cut will reopen, and I'm blind essentially for like a week.
Yeah.
And anytime I think, that little shit doing that to me, I think about where I was in July 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll take that scar any day, because it meant that I got him back.
Yeah.
So he could do that to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly what I thought. I thought, I'll take Scarlett, attacking me, pulling my hair out. I'll take it. I'll give him my hair next time I see her.
Yeah, but the amount of hits that I've taken to the crotch, just keep on hitting it. I don't need to use it after this anyway. I'm good.
Thank you a lot for allowing me to share my story.
Yeah. Well, you've been an absolute delight to talk to. Well, I know we've covered a lot of heavy stuff. You've done it with such dignity, and you've been so articulate with everything that you've said. There's people who would have like advanced degrees and wouldn't be able to put it as well as you have. I'm so damn proud to know you. I'm so lucky to know you. Anything that you need, whether it's just like a wee share of a post or whatever, or if you just need to say, look, I'm struggling, can I talk? I may not be able to get back to you right away if I've got the kids or if I'm at work, but reach out. I will get back to you, and I will help any way I can. Those kids deserve you as a mum, and always remember that.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, normally I would do my whole take care, stay safe, bye-bye with a big, huge, polished kind of send off, but I'm just going to look directly to the camera and say, everybody, this is the real stuff that people go through. There'll be links to the socials for Leanne. There'll be links to her gigs. Help her out. Get petitions going. Get this shared. Do everything that you can to help her. If you're not going to just do it for her, do it for every parent that goes through some sort of stigma. I've went through it. Many of my guests that have went through it. And it can't keep going on. It just can't. So until next time, everybody, take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.